We recorded on something else. To the east, to the north, to the west, and to the south, above, below, center. Put a little piece of pop light in here to help with the sound. Give out the perfect fifth, the 136 hertz. Get that out. Coat myself with it. Send out a bass energy. With just the intention of, sound can move you and groove you. All right, I guess I'll get right into it. This is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your host, Big Pontiac. I am the holder of the Sacred Infinite ball game created by the Hero Twins. And I'm that one and only Galactic Daddy-O sitting on the Chocolate Mountain, which is my galactic patio, welcoming each and every one of you from Black Dog Hill out to all the universe. Mac Bone, I believe I saw you. Okay, good evening. Thank you. Oh, yeah, everything is really cool. Things are moving. What's happening? Good to see you, Mac Bone. Lorenzo, thank you for coming in. Strong discernment. The other morning, Sly had touched on some stuff, and I couldn't find the other book, but there's a couple of things if you want to do your own kind of so they open all these holes up, but if you want to do your own studying and have your own understanding of metaphorically how this stuff goes in, this book is Stenchen, because a lot of what Sly was talking about was Stenchen's work. It's this one. I couldn't find the Lost Book of Uniki. It's up here. I just couldn't find it. And this is another one. But if you want to take now, as you know, I always talk about the mind, and that's the most important thing. That's the most important thing I find in his work. One of these books had a breakdown of the words. Let me see if I can find where the breakdowns of the words are. Maybe it's not this one, but it describes the mind, and that's what I get out of this. So, but another part that you might understand, and when I say that, I caught Wes Paneri copied a little bit of Dr. Valentine's work, is catch early Dr. Valentine. Like, I think one of the first times they taped him at a high school. And Dr. Valentine is talking about types of beans that were different colors and stuff. And how this story goes with this story, especially from Wes Paneri's perspective, how he kind of added his twist to what Dr. Valentine first put out there, and saying that we were these spiritual type of beings, and perhaps and it was almost like we were a certain type of energy being, because I'm not sure if it's the Lost Book of Uniki or this book, but I think it's the Lost Book of Uniki, how they even discovered these kind of beings. They just noticed that when these parasite people from other places would come to kind of kill the animals, the traps, the simple traps and snares these beings would set was getting set free, and they didn't know how. And so this gets into a little bit of for the people that the Atlantean thing, that's another thing. It gets into that, being able to put this spiritual energy being into this male body or into this type of reality for whatever reason. So that's kind of something that y'all can do your own research and find out about that. But Wes Paneri is a good research about that too. So just wanted to say that. And it's one thing that I really get turned on is, I go to these high school games, I go to these pro games, I go to these college games, and it charges me. You just don't understand how me being in these gyms, I just get so charged up. Tonight they were throwing balls, and the type of energy just moves from simple balls and how old the ball is. And so I guess we all have to find where can we go to charge up. But to tell you what's real, to the part of what sport is was real, and this was very rare. So we were at St. Mary's, which is roughly going north. It's almost like a midpoint between St. Cloud and here. That's where the game was. It was senior night. And you ask what is real and what is genuine in the sacred ball game. They had these boys thank their parents. It was senior night, and the boys did, these gyms down here have full video screens where they do the little local commercials, but they did a thank you to the parents. And what people don't realize is no matter what your children do, if your children have to practice, you were there. You were there. From Pat Mahomes growing up with a father that played pro baseball to anybody, he still, at some point, people had to take you and bring you back. And to a T, this is what all the boys said. And this was interesting in this community because this is, there's a lot of Europeans up here. So, but what was interesting is it was out of 12 children, all the children thanked their mom and their dad. Because we were taking note. We was like, whoa. And, the children saying, thank you for the shoes. And all of them, thank you for taking me back and forth to practice. So if you ask what is real and what's genuine, that part is genuine. And that's the part that they can never corrupt. And do some parents want to live their dream in front of are doing this for selfish reasons because they want to live their dream? Of course. But that doesn't even hurt either. Whatever motivation it takes. Now, out of the 12 or 13 children, I'm not trying to set up any numbers, maybe 14, because it's like the way they do it up here. If you play JV, you dress varsity. So, but they let all the boys talk. It was kind of it's all the seniors. So, it was about 6 or 8 seniors, maybe 10. The heavy senior team, maybe at least 8. But all of them but one, all of them think they fought mother and father, and that's balance. Hey, homie. Thank you for the kind words, D-Ron. Glad you mentioned the hurts because the music was to the government made it to where musicians had to go for further. Yeah, I think you can get a little bit into you can get into like Jimi Hendrix and the kind of influence that he really had, and that's why Jimi Hendrix, they like that Atlanta concert had just as many people as Woodstock. I mean, Jimi Hendrix literally played in front of 500,000 people in Atlanta. And they suppressed this film until 2016. So yeah, and I work with these a lot. Like what happens is, especially like spiritually, what you have to practice over and over again is creating energy around you. You can even check Bomber. He sells a little box. And the idea of what the idea of this little box can do, it actually can move energies for you. If you just want to sit and be still and open your mind up. That's why I keep copper around me, because copper, it can hold that charge. It keeps that charge moving. That's why I wake up every morning. I drink this. I've had this about 6 years. I drink water, and it's sugar treated water.
And so, but these are ways, the laws of power. You know, homie, I've read that stuff, but I'll tell you, uh, high school tournament in March here in Mississippi, we almost at the stage. Yeah, yeah, we have two regular season games. We have two regular season games. But yeah, I read this. I read this information, and you know, it's like, well, what does that? That's not really what I practice. Not to say somebody else might find that information useful, but for me, no, I don't practice that. So, but if that's helpful to you or anyone else, I'm yay or nay. I practice what was given to me free here in America, and like these sounds. I mean, you should hear these. You should be tied into this stuff. Um, that's how abundance works. Abundance ain't about money, or it's not none of that. Abundance is about moving your own energy around you and not letting energy stagnate and not be so sucked into things, not be distracted. And that's what this thing will show you. It'll show you a lot of distractions. But yeah, Lorenzo, we won't have our tournament for. We have a game, yeah. So we're 2 weeks still. We're still 2 weeks out because we have a game next Wednesday and next Friday, and then the section will start after that. But the Big Ten basketball sucks. The Big Ten, other than the top couple teams, the bottom teams, like I told you guys, Dawson. I don't forgot Dawson's name, but he's back here. He's a boy that young man that was from Prior Lake, was a McDonald All-American. He played at Marquette, and he ended up going to North Carolina. Parents got sick, so he's back playing. Oh, let me tell you who just was watched the games a couple weeks ago. It was funny. We were sitting in there, Hopkins gym. Now Hopkins has a large, history. Chris Humphreys went to Hopkins. Oh, let me get that right. Yes, Humphreys went to Hopkins too, and so did Royce White. And then Paige, that's at UConn, she goes to Hopkins. So going to Hopkins always reminds me when Royce White used to kill a brother named Rodney Williams. Rodney was a little older. When my boy was Brennan, my oldest here was when he was in 8th grade. Royce was a senior, so was Rodney, and Rodney ended up playing at the U. Royce played at the U, got in some stuff, ended up having to go to Iowa State. But it just reminded me how just watching Royce destroy Rodney. Royce could hoop, and sure enough, Royce was at the game. So it was cool seeing Royce. Now I've said before, Khalid El Amin, his son plays on Minnetonka. So I saw him. It's been snowing, so I missed the game Tuesday. But last week I saw Khalid. So he's coaching here. They didn't get him the job. What it was a big controversy. His high school, he went to Boys High. He won state before he went to UConn, because people forget that Khalid won the national championship with Rip Hamilton at UConn. And he played with the Bulls a couple years ago, a couple years. So Khalid was hoop. So I see him pretty regularly, because the days he's not playing, because he coaches like we have Saturday games, he tends to be there. So good brother. Always good to see him. I was surprised seeing Royce. Royce be trying to box and stuff. So regular season. Yep. March is a month for basketball. Oh yeah. Yeah, well, that's the way it's kind of a ritual. The NBA is not until June. NBA hockey and the NBA is not until June. So that's how it works. And let me say this: it's like they don't. Let me get into this. Okay. So if you look at some realities and you say this realities, and take sports for instance. If you look at sports and say that sports can only be driven by black magic, that's very naive. You really even have to understand what black magic is, because there's different kind of varieties of it. I guess I could just the black there's different varieties of it. Now if you say in the negative path, that's some would even say that would be separate from black magic. Some people. And others would say, well, that's an aspect of black magic. Others could say it's an aspect of white magic. But when it comes to the way they rig these sports, they don't need that. They have simple technology. This is all this thing is. It's simple technology. And if you think it's more than that, you're giving them too much credit. Because they've evolved. I mean, you know how bad they tricked us? Think about this. When I started watching TV on black and white TVs, because we didn't get our first color TV till 67. Do you know the way TVs looked and like just looking at that stuff? We really was just looking at fuzz. In our minds, we thinking we looking at something just as clear, and we were looking at fuzz. But our minds adjusted to say that this fuzz was live sports. And I'm not saying you're looking at these old films. This is film. We look at a lot of old film, but I'm saying look at these old recordings of television, not film. Look at what was broadcast. Because when they film, it's a better quality. That's not what was seen on TVs. And especially when cable hit in the 70s and going on up until shit. Even when Michael Jordan played, look at some of those games that they show true TV footage. This stuff is so fuzzy. And I know, I wear glasses and everything, but this is how they tricked us to accepting that action was all that we see. Then they play it over and over again. So, of course, the more you see it, the more you'll play it over again when you really just seeing some fuzz. Of course, as they get closer shots, the fuzz wasn't as bad. Well, I'm glad you asked me that question, D-Ron. The way, well, look at what they've learned from the Super Bowl. Look at what they've learned. What they've learned from the Super Bowl is we're going to milk the Super Bowl to 2 weeks. We're going to put something all the 2 weeks before, and we're going to get this energy. We've built this $1 billion campaign, these $1 million campaign to get these ads that we can run for 3 consecutive weeks. So this is a lot of the same ritual we've been seeing over and over again. And did y'all know Brad Daugherty's guy won the Daytona 500? I don't know if people have been talking about that. Not Michael Jordan's guy. Michael Jordan's guy got Wallace. He completed shit. He was within 10 laps. And let me tell you this. This is what I watched in the Daytona 500 too. I'll try to get back to it. But Wallace disappeared out of the race. They said he had engine trouble or something, but I don't know because I did watch it I taped it because we was moving around. But he disappeared out of the race and then he came back and it was like he was like on lead lap. I was like, what? How is this? So I don't know. But all of it is. Well, you know what really pro basketball weekend is? It is Jewish faith, one of their biggest sporting event, because the Jewish faith people, they're the ones that have always run pro basketball. Now, colleges ran, it's another word for who runs colleges. A lot of them type of colleges has got one. They kind of got their hand in that too, but they share college. They share college, so this is their biggest stage. What I'll say though, I enjoyed the halftime better. The halftime was better in the NBA All-Star game than Rihanna. That African theme, even though I don't like the idea of they're doing the same thing with these African players, removing us, giving them jobs. But the concert, the halftime, that basketball halftime was good. I enjoyed it. So, hey, Crazy Sarge, good to see you. Hey, there's my homeboy. What's happening? Glad to see you. Took a ferry road. I'm telling you, Crazy Sarge. I'm watching. I'm on it. I'm like constantly monitoring the boards. I'm just constantly monitoring, the places and looking at them. And he disappeared. And then when they pit before overtime, because they went to overtime, and it's always the same. I looked and saw who won the race. And let me tell you how shady the Daytona 500 was. Let me see. I didn't write notes on this, but with less than 6 laps to go, the guy who won the race was in like 8th or 9th place, which is from that point on is almost impossible to win because they had went to overtime. And then the way they do is the placement of overtime. But it was at 4 laps, it was like almost impossible for him to win. And then all of a sudden he wins. So, but shout out to Brad Daugherty if y'all didn't know that. Brad Daugherty, shout out to him. But yeah, I mean, Wallace just, And then when they crash, they crash at the end because that's what they always do. If the right person ain't winning, they'll crash everybody. But I love the cars. I love the artwork of the cars, the painting. That will get into my next subject too. I love the artistry. The only artistry left with cars is the taillights. That's the real only artistry left. And there's a real artistry in the way taillights are made. That is one of the few things that really differentiate vehicles. And so that's a part of driving that I really enjoy. That's a part of, because I like cars. I like the history and the art of cars, and that's kind of gone. But for me, just the tail lights and lights in general, but especially the tail lights, because the tail lights are the last artistic, because we don't look at the way these machines, we don't look at them as art anymore. I mean, even when they buy these high priced sports machines, it's not necessarily for the art of the car. A lot of people, the way they flex it, it's not the art, it's the power of the car. It's funny you mentioned the black and white TV. I told my dad we ain't start having color till we had color TV. He looked at me, he said, "You need to start thinking before you speak." You know, my son said the same thing. My son, who's 33, my son said that he didn't think color came until like the 70s. He thought because all the color pictures, the black and white pictures, he thought because of all the black and white pictures, he thought the same thing, that color didn't exist. But I'll tell you, it existed differently than the way it exists now. Like some people think that chemtrails didn't exist then. Chemtrails existed, and I'm not trying to cap for these motherfuckers, but chemtrails existed. I went on my first plane at 2 years old. So I knew what planes was at a very young age. And so after that, I always thought that the chemtrails was where the people sat, because it looked like little compartments sometime of the chemtrails. And that's what I thought. When I would see chemtrails as a small boy, say 5 years old, so this is like 1966, I'm seeing chemtrails and I'm thinking that's where the people sat. That's where I sat when I went on the plane. But yeah, the color is different, definitely. The color of the reality is different. And not to say, you know, when you go back to there, that it's not as vivid, but it was different. It was different. If you understand, when you go back, going back is closer, really going back closer to whatever the source of this thing is. But which leads me to driving, and I want to just, I guess first of all, like the weather up here, I guess I'll get into that too. The weather up here, we got dumped on with about 24 hours of just constant snow. As I said, we got 2 feet. Like we went to the game tonight, in the other part of where I live, the snow drifts were so high. I mean, it's amazing. But the phenomena up here that really has me puzzled, because I've been coming here since the early 80s. I've been living here since 06. So normally when it gets so cold, it doesn't snow hard. It's generally too cold to snow hard. When we got all that ice snow back in December or early January, we got a lot of that heavy ice snow. This ain't what this was. This wasn't that. And so, but it was like all that ice snow came when it was like 32. Normally when it's 34, 35, that's the fear of snow. 30, 31, 30, it's a fear of snow. But when it gets down to 2, 3, very uncommon for it to snow as much as we've gotten. I mean, the other night, I'm talking to my friends and they've had 2 or 3 inches, where we had already had about 8 inches. They said, now we got a couple. The next day, they got like 13 inches. We got about 2 feet. So, what? You know, we was driving the next day. You know, we got all the stuff. We live close to stores, and, you know, this Holy Land takes care of me. And I do want to get into driving. I've gone over this before, but I want people to understand really what driving is and the energy and entity that driving is. See, when they talk about what's green and everything, do you watch the tour racing, like the Lambos, Corvettes, Austin, Porsche with road courses? You know what? I do. Because matter of fact, when they go back to Daytona, you know, they do a 24-hour down to Daytona too. They do a 24-hour down there. So yeah, I catch a little bit of all the racing. I've said this before. When I lived in Michigan, we lived near we lived near a dragway, and it was gosh, I can't even remember, but I had I had an '05 300C with the Hemi in it, and you got to do I think 3 runs for $20, $25, something like that. You got to do a quarter mile, and I want to say consistent 11s maybe with that big old heavy car, consistent 11, something like that. The motherfucker had them V's. Shit, and V's was like 6, 7. They was going quick. You know, cameras and the pixelation on screens are getting close to maxing actual vision of AI, getting close to being a true living entity. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Y'all know these cartoon pictures out there. Don't get caught into that stuff. That stuff, now, I'm going to use Quantum's work. He's absolutely right. That stuff is too expensive to be given away freely. What is the saying? Too good to be true? That stuff is too sophisticated to be given freely. You guys are teaching this thing how to be you. You are teaching quantum with Ant-Man. When he first goes into the quantum realm and he starts fighting, he hits a thing where he starts breaking apart. And that's what this is. You start breaking apart. Kind of lost my point there. Oh, but that's what you're doing. That was my point. Thank you. So my point is, when Ant-Man breaks into all these different possibilities, or some want to say probabilities, but that's what that is. That's what you're teaching it. You are teaching it your imagination. You are putting your imagination and having this machine. You couldn't put it past that this stuff is you feeding it, that they can kind of scan this a little bit. But you are giving up your imagination. You are teaching this machine your imagination, your depths. Because you keep feeding it and it's getting closer. Yeah, so people are teaching. So that ain't nothing good to post. It's free and it looks, that ain't nothing good to post. That's nothing good to get caught into. No, that's your thing. That's your thing. Just saying. I'm just saying. If that is your thing, that's your thing. But there's something more to that. That ain't just, hey, we love you so you can have this. That is, like I'm saying, Ant-Man breaking itself into all the possibilities. When he went to that realm, he's like, hey, why am I breaking apart? There's every idea. This is what you're feeding that machine. And Ant-Man showed it to you in the quantum. You are feeding that machine all the possibilities of your imagination, of what you feeding off, what you generate, what you create. You are feeding it to be you, or another version of you. So beware of that. That ain't all the way it glows. That ain't glowing. That's something to be leery of. It look cool, but that should have you thinking that it's you. Even more so than these iPhone avatars. But it's also you in your imagination. That's the deadly part. It's you in your imagination. It is some kind of way probing all the things that you've put into this thing. So it's feeding off you. You want to feed it, feed it. I mean, I'm cool with y'all. You know, if you want to feed it, you feed it. But know what you're getting into. That's all. Know what you feeding it. And that's why I was saying, like driving. One reason why it doesn't matter, like the entity or the energy that feeds off driving and the way the highways are constructed, it doesn't matter what type of cars it's on. It's like we was talking about racing. It loves that. It loves racing. It sits there and just eats that up. There's an entity that just sits there. It's like an invisible mouth every time they do a lap. It gets it high. There's an entity that it literally, when they race like that, it gets this entity high. It's like a big face on that checkered Mason line right there that says you win. That checkered line says you win. There's an entity like a big old mouth to just eat every lap. It likes when it drags. drag racing. I got a bunch of TV shows about these cars, but so it doesn't matter if it's gas engines. It doesn't matter. This thing likes any kind of motion on it. When you do a scooter, electric bikes, any kind of thing you drive on this road feeds it. That's it. We help keep it alive. That's why so many people. Oh, it's another part of quantum. Let me get this one other part. Now I won't talk about the movie, but it's another part of quantum it made me think of. So one part of quantum, they say the buildings are alive, and there's like, aren't yours? And this is I will give Bomber a little credit for the ideas, but I saw the picture before I heard Bomber. But Bomber's absolutely right, where these entities, when they were buildings, these entities could no longer move like that. It also made me think of trees. At one time, we know trees could move at one time. Fully articulate, move. And it reminded me of that too, where trees could take off like that and defend itself. Kind of gave me that kind of vibe too, but also the buildings, because we know the Chrysler building picture where the dude's just out there with no harnesses, and how many men, I think it was 100,000 men built that place, and less than 100 people fell off. And so that's magic. That's magic, and that's magic that's just neutral magic. That's not evil magic. That's not good magic. This is this entity. This entity can't let all these people fall off because it won't be built. And then it becomes alive once it's occupied and it's in that space on top of that granite. That's how it is. So that's what that reminds me of. Oh, what I was saying is about the games is, see, they started putting, actually baseball was put on first in the 50s, and then in the 60s, basketball was put on. You could get it free when they would put on the national games. It was kind of, till cable really hit, that's kind of what it was. And so the old black and white TVs, so when you see a lot of old-fashioned basketball from the Wilt and Bill Russell, from you guys, the people that are watching the Bill Russell series, you're seeing film. They filmed these games. You're not seeing the television broadcast in most cases. You're seeing the parts when they actually film the games. And that's a higher resolution than when they were pre-recorded, or the TV signal, if you understand. The TV signal wasn't clear as these movies. That's all. So it wasn't that they pre-recorded it, but it was like the TV was a different quality. And if you look at a broadcast from the 50s or even the early 60s, like, think about Godfather 2, when he goes into Hyman Roth's house and they watching baseball, and they do a close-up of that old 50s, early 60s TV, and it's like you can't even lighten. It's terrible. It's terrible. So that's all. Have you noticed that they realized the script and script writers has become a part of the sports lexicon? So they struck the players to mock it and try to make it a joke. Well, I think I'm probably partially responsible for that, because I've been harping that since 2014. I've been saying that like my whole life, though, really. As I said before, looking at the 1977 championship, where I had a full understanding of how sports worked, and even the Dallas Cowboy championship, or when Baltimore kicked it, what is that, 71 with Baltimore? I mean, that game had like 8 turnovers. Like, each team had 4 or 5 turnovers. Chuck Howley, that was one of the only MVP for a losing team, he had something like 2 interceptions and a fumble. I mean, it was like the most stupidest, sloppiest game ever. But that Bill Walton winning the NBA championship with that team. And that's where Dr. J yokes on him. Dr. J yokes on Bobby Gross. I mean, that opened my eyes that sports wasn't what I thought it was. Did you catch the Clippers and Kings game? It was 351, 176 in double overtime. No, I did not. I watched. I've been gone. I've been gone. So we stopped at a restaurant down in Albertville, because we was at St. Michael's, which is about an hour from here. So I watched the Timberwolves get beat by Charlotte. I watched like the second half of that game at the restaurant. So I missed that game because that game was 121, I think, to 113. I thought the 113 was interesting, but and actually Charlotte has a better team than the Timberwolves. It was my first time seeing Conley Jr. play since he got traded here. The live, oh, Carrie, thank you for joining. Live betted Clippers 400. Woo, Flipper's gonna flip. I watched the highlights on Sports Center. Yeah, I missed it because I was watching. Matter of fact, I was sitting where I was watching. I watched the Wild lose, and I watched the Timberwolves lose. Like we went from the high school game to the other game, and so sorry, it gets me going back and forth on things, but I just want to get this driving thing so people understand. And I'll tell this story, and this story is quite bizarre, but like when I go into a crystal shop, a lot of the energy I really get supercharged. But when I go into jewelry shops, I really get supercharged. And well, I guess I'm just gonna tell it the way I have it. No, I'm gonna save that one for a better time. I'll save that one for a better time. But this part is really true. I go to these jewelry stores, and it just the diamonds and the gold, the platinum. I just get supercharged up, and it just raises my vibration so high. And I guess I will share that part. I guess if there's anything, it's like we are bombarded with so much bad news, so much fear that we don't really, most of us don't even take the time to just love ourselves and know that we have time for ourselves and what we really are and what our own thoughts are without being pointed to this, without being pointed to that, without being pointed to that. We get so distracted where we really don't even know ourselves sometimes. And as I keep mentioning over and over again, when I go to these high school gyms or these big stadiums, I get charged. And not only do I get charged, I can charge everybody that's near me. You know, like an EMPs hit. I mean, when that just what the gym gives me and all that energy, I just give it to everybody else. And whatever it is that can do that for you, you have to find out what that is for you. And you can't be a guy just sitting in your house philosophizing. You got to be a God out here moving. And all a God is you make happen what happens is what you want or you make happen. Now, I'm not disagreeing to saying that you work hard. Yes, that's part of it. But the other part is you should get paid for doing you, being you, excuse me. You should really get paid just because who you are and what you offer to the world. And yes, I copied that from the witch. So yes, if you got your spooks, yes, I'll give you credit for that one. You're right though. You should be. And you have to learn how to hold joy energy without the attacks. And Super Sly, I'm sorry, I will go get some selenite. I will get some more of these. I'll get you. I got to send you some of these, and I'll get some black kyanite for you. And you put these in you put a selenite in your windows. I got them in all my windows, but you put selenite in your windows. It's like a barrier. It's shit that selenite is a bad one. You put that shit in your windows, it keeps a lot of shit out. But you put these in your corner. See, when you turn off the light, it tries to hide in the corners. This traps you. Just keeps it off you because it can't hide. These are cheap. So if you still having that thing, because remember, when you get attacked with them night terrors and stuff, the thing is this little. I mean, you guys are both this little. I know some people say it feels like some big man is. No, it's like some micro shit is happening. And you can really Ant-Man over that shit. You could really, I'll say that's another part of Ant-Man you can do too. Because it's like this thing can't really grow. And if you just get away from the fear, you can just get too big for it. So, but send me some information and I'll get you that. Because, yeah, if you're still suffering from that. But sage the corners. and get this stuff in there. And this is for everybody. I mean, the same thing, like just how you want to set up. Like if you have citrine, you know, you should have citrine in when you come in, and then citrine the furthest point from there in the house. It kind of helps bring the moving energies of abundance. So it's however you want to find whatever you can find, because that's what it is. I mean, money, yes, but how else are you generating? You should naturally generate that from what you love to do. I mean, we've got so many content people that this is what they love to do, so they try to generate it from this. But there's so many other ways. Is that Amber? Oh yeah, this is this is Amber. The necklace. I got a necklace to it too, but yeah. And Amber. So I want to tell these stories, but I probably should hold them off. This really grounds you, and it really makes you touch into these ancient systems, especially the ancient tree systems, because a lot of things went to war against these ancient trees. It's obvious. So, um, so that's kind of why I like amber with me. And amber can do another thing. You know, amber can be burned, but amber also one cool thing is when you like when you leave your body wearing amber, it is almost like a just a beacon. It's almost like a beacon for you. It'll give you that. It'll stay there with you. Now, astro wise, it really is like having a torch. I mean, amber will really light up like you know the old movies where they go into the pyramids and shit. They got a torch. Yeah, amber is that. Amber lights that shit up. So, ah, uh, it is embarrassing. It is embarrassing. Oh, thank you. That is kind to hear. Oh my goodness, up here, man. I love winter. I get to dress, baby. Played in my All-Star game. The score is 175. Yeah, that's very crazy. It is. Yes, Jack. I get charged from playing in the dirt with my plants and working on my embroidery. Ooh, ooh, ooh. We might have to make a deal where you can embroider me them Aggies. You embroider me some with them Aggies on it. Ooh, or send you something. Ooh, I'll send you something and pay you to embroider me something. Uh, uh, Malik man ain't nicer. Dude is walking bucket side. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I have the salt lamps. But yeah, 3 times. Yeah, I missed it. What I was saying last position, how you don't get P3 or Kawhi in the last shot. When I missed it, I have to watch that. So I can't really say I missed that game. But it's not surprising. I watched Edwards. Like Edwards, that was down 4 with about a minute and a half left, and Edwards just threw it away. He's like at the top of the key, and he just threw it out of bounds where you can see they like gave up. So that's how it works. That's how it works. But yeah, that's what where some of these crystals is very helpful. Here, Numite. I mean, this is the more ancient rocks you deal with, the more ancient energy you get from this stuff. And this is Numite, and the only thing older than Numite is greenstone is very similar, but that's about the same age as Shugite. And so you have these ancient stones, and like if anybody's like if you're not a logical person, this is a very great stone to carry. This will make you logical. This will, if there's any kind of like people say, what is it like? You had a smell on yourself. So if there's one crystal that you handled and then going about your day and you start doing things logical, you'll come to realize that working with this really helps for those who need to be logical. Numite is the stone of logic. They call it the sorcerer stone, the source stone, to take you on your journey. The flashes of gold, because you do need gold when you're moving through this stuff. You need gold and diamonds and all this stuff to amplify. I mean, people got to realize what gold does for your mental. And it does a lot for your mental. And the more that you can amplify gold, the better it should help you. That's how it's supposed to work. That's how, like you see these entertainers, what they practice, that amplifies what they practice, if you understand that. The way they put together their jury is this is amplifying. Now, if anyone wants to say, uh, but really, can we say that generally all music is one thing? Not necessarily. It isn't. But is there, a dark component to it? Absolutely. Is there a left-hand component to it? Absolutely. But and so what they practice, the jewelry they wear, to what they practice, it amplifies that. And so it's a whole. It's like these used to be called charms. Charms, protection. Like the medicine bag. These are protection. And you just put together, it looks sparkly. There's got to be some kind of thought of what is it doing for you. Like even when you dress, what you wear, colors. I mean, on the radio, they used to always have a color of the day. I mean, that is a kind of a thing. There are people that follow that. There are colors every day. Like when I read these cards, whoops, it tells you it's colors every day. And some people use this for their abundance. They fall in line with this. Ah. T-Wolves lost to the Hornets. Yeah, I watched that game. Yeah, they're gonna suck in the playoffs. It's funny you say you should be paid for what you do. You know me, I create money as needed. This is why I don't have to want for stuff. That's a good point. I can have, like, I'm at the point in my life I can have anything. I can have whatever I want, and that's a good feeling to have really what you want. To really be at a point where it is enough. But it's still, you motivate to put things better, put it together better. It's all that. Oh, let me tell you guys. Let me tell you. Let me tell you about me. My little story. I have drank beer since I was probably 14. When I was in 8th grade, they passed the law that 18-year-olds could drink. I bought beer until I moved out of Michigan. But about the end of the NFC AFC championship was the last time I drank beer. So that's, I think, 3 weeks ago. And generally I'm 6 foot still. I weigh generally about 224. For a couple of years, I weighed that. I quit drinking beer for 3 weeks. Maybe next week would be 4. Would that be the 4th week from the Super Bowl? Yeah, that'd be the 4th week. Maybe this week is the 4th week. But anyway, from that period, I am down to like 214. So from just not drinking beer, because I've always been active. Now, I haven't played pickleball because I had hurt my arm. Oh, and let me say this. If you guys, those of you that have the tennis channel, we are having a giant pickleball tournament here. People are able to come in because it's snow, they didn't push all the snow everywhere. But it's pros, and it's going to be broadcast on the tennis channel. Those of you that, so I live near a mall. I've got a treadmill. I've got a big Nordic track that I can walk in Greece. I can walk places. But I go to the Mall America, and I'm pretty active. I get all that in. I haven't been able to do many lifting because I had to find out the condition of my arm. And so I saw the surgeon. She said just therapy. Matter of fact, I forgot therapy today. So pickleball is back on. Pickleball is back on. Yep, like the movie Branded, bunch of entities eating him up, loose energy, especially people on low frequency, eating fast food, stressing. There you go. It is. You feed things. Fear is something that feeds. Fear loves to feed. So keep that in mind as well. And so, and as I've said before, don't write stories. Let the story you write create. Because a lot of times the fear programs want you to write stories. They want you to write the story. And what do they say? The Mexican brother goes into the doctor. The doctor, he goes in. The doctor says he has cancer. The Mexican brother says, no, I don't. I didn't have cancer when I walked in and walked out. He said the guy was never sick. Let's see, worry, scared of leaving this thing. That's the least you should fear. You've conquered. That's what conquering this thing is when you ain't scared to die and you're able to look this beast and say, take me. Well, what is it? I ain't scared of that. That ain't the end. You know it and I know it. And then things look different for you. Hmm. Fear is the mind killer. It is. It is. And brother Nick knows. You know, it's action cures fear. And that's I read that when I was a young man, and when I had to do things that's when I was a cop and just helping people or whatever the situation was. Action cures fear. Because when bullets start coming at you, believe me, a lot of people, even training people. What did Sly say about 21 bridges? And you know, amount of people getting hit and the people that would really sit there and do real work. Everybody ain't fit for real work. That takes a lot of time to create that kind of teamwork. But even then, everybody ain't gonna be able to put in work, be able to not be shut down by fear. Fear fear can give you what is the word shock. You can go into shock from something fearful. I mean, if you see something that really blows your mind, you can shut down from just fear. But writing stories too, let it play out. Don't take the doom and gloom approach every time, y'all. Let it play out, because that's part of the fear program. Oh, let me tell y'all some bogus shit about being old. This is some real funny shit. So, I dress nice every day. It's like every day I'm just wintertime is my favorite time to dress. And I know you shouldn't pull nose hairs out your nose. They're saying that the bacteria from having the raw pulled out nose hairs could give you dementia. So it's a little bit. So I trim them with a trimmer. So I trim them with a trimmer. Okay. Trimmer, look my nose, I'm like, very vain. Go to do some business, and I'm talking to a dude, and out of nowhere, a nose hair comes out to about here. And I don't think the dude who saw it, I don't think he knew what to think about it. He saw it too. He's like, I'm all dressed nice, and here's his nose hair. It was like a lock almost. It was like some kind of way locked up in there. And from the time like I go to the store, it's just like boom. Getting old is rough, y'all. It is rough. To help with weight loss, most doctors never say anything because they don't know about it. I heard that you don't have your gallbladder, use bile salt. The truth sounds crazy in a world full of lies. The truth sounds crazy in a world full of lies. It does. I think once a person masters courage, absolutely, absolutely. My motto is, you go towards. There's a difference between danger and the fear coming in. You have to understand the two. There's sometimes you face it. You face danger. Somebody had an acronym for fear. It was dope. I hate that I can't remember it. Okay. But it is something that'll make you not act. And there's a lot of fear programs everywhere. That's why it was that movie where the glasses and stuff, and it's fear, and that's all you're seeing on television. Television is like this weather thing. They fearing us about the weather. It's the greatest storm's about to ever come. It's like, y'all about to get buried. It's going to take us a while to get y'all out. I mean, that's the kind of thing that they were trying to say. The worst storm ever in the history of storms. So, this is a fear program from, Mother Nature. But we need all this water. I mean, it's great. Like, we had a bunch of snow from all this ice snow, but we need this. Our lakes have been suffering. So we getting dumped all this, I think to lock up on this hill. Bring it. Give it to me. Fear equals false evidence. Fear equals evidence, period. Real. Yeah, we do. Oh, yeah. Oh, telling this that Tommy Storm coat I got, I'll put that coat up against any coat. That Tommy Storm coat, the white Storm coat, this knee, I'll put that up against any of them triple fat goose fires. Keeping you warm. Yeah, that Tommy Storm coat, it's not one better. It's not one better. And then, what's funny? There's no more fur companies up here.
my aunt came in town. She was, you know, I was trying to. I thought that these couple fur companies were still here, so I got to import all the furs. So it's kind of a bummer to know. So, hey, Unique Breed, thank you for joining. Oh, I told you that coat is stuck in my trunk. As soon as this weather, when I get the car done, yeah, yeah, stuff. Like I wanted to wash. Well, I did wash my car. I just broke down and sprayed it off and threw some wax on it. Because the salt, people don't realize the salt. You got to get that salt off the ride as soon as you can, because salt will eat up certain parts of different rides. Like Fords, a lot of as much as I like Fords, a lot of older Fords. Remember, they still and you still see some of the cars from 12, 13 had the same problem where their primer wasn't that good. And they've always been sued for that. But Ford does something where their primer isn't that good. And then when they had the old Explorers, the windshield wiper fluid would flake the back of the car off. So the paint couldn't even stand the windshield wiper fluid. So Ford has always had problems with paint. So, and that's this time of winter, it hurts your car if you have these kind of things. It hurts your finishing stuff. So get that salt off when you can up here. But it was like the city closed down. South of us got it really bad. Uh, it was some off ramps where it was like 4 feet of snow. So I think they closed down part. I'm trying to think, what is it? I-90. They had to close off parts of that run south into Iowa, like the border here. Um, One of the 75s. Nah, maybe that's not right. But they had to close down a couple highways. I say two things about controversy. Truth is controversy to liars, and nothing can't be controversy. It's right in front of you. Well, what did Richard Pryor say? What are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? And that's how a lot of people take that approach. They try to make the nation not see something. The nation sees something as a whole, and then they try to say, well, are you believing what you see, or you believing what we're telling you? And that's what we're faced with. And a lot of people believe what they're told. And that's just how it is. A lot of people, that goes into, are you real? And what have you done to make yourself real? Because that's how it really, I'll say, if there's any effort in yourself, that's what you really want to be. You want to be real. And being real, it's hard. It's hard for a lot of people to really understand what being real is, because it's so easy to fit into what this thing is. It's easier on some people to just go along with it. Watch TV, don't have any mind. Whatever they tell you, just follow it. There's people that have lived and died like this. Never thought that anything. Look at really the push. And I'll save that. But there's so many negative pushes that people have done to just kind of destroy themselves. Have you guys heard about, I think it's called track or something like that people are using to cut fentanyl, and they're using it to cut heroin, and they're using it to cut coke, but if you shoot it, it rots your skin. It's some type of, I don't want to say a tranquilizer, but it's for animals. It's not FDA regulated or any of this. It's used mostly for animals, but they've been cutting with, but when the people shoot it, it rots their skin. Did you guys see that? Kind of gross. Kind of gross. Fear gets people to move. Yeah, sometimes. But what we just saw is fear made people stand still. Fear made people stand still. Fear made people stand still and not question. Fear made people stand still and not question. And when they hit you with straight up socialism and just paying you really for being you, hey, people went away. People went along with the fear, and they went along with the handout. Say, well, you're scaring the shit of me over here, but hey, you're giving me a good time. I can sit at home and I can play the game. What was the movie? They got electrolytes. It was all that. We's up in the crib. You got electrolytes. Why ain't the shit growing? It's got electrolytes. Cracriosity, whatever that's called. Yeah. We are definitely dumbed down.
I mean, we are dumbed down what we are accepting education for our children. I mean, they started you guys remember this, 2001, 2002, some states started giving attendance graduation. Not real. Like if you didn't pass the basic core stuff that a senior should know, you was just getting an attendance certificate. Technically, it's like a GED, but it was like it was almost like admitting that you had kind of failed, but you still get to graduate to get you on. And that still is going on. That's still going on. I personally saw it with two of my children recently. Fear creates panic example. Well, I mean, that was socially engineered too. That was socially engineered. A lot of that was socially engineered too. So keep that in mind. Monkey see, monkey do. That's what a lot of that was. And that's what a lot of what it is monkey see, monkey do. And like I only comment on words and reflections because words and reflections is kind of how you bind yourself. And if you get locked into certain speaking patterns, you are binding yourself. So that's why I try to really bark at the parroting spells and how harmful parroting spells are, because you can't tell me that you're real, but yet you're using a parroting spell. That you ain't figured out that there's some certain things that you just shouldn't say, because this is the computer. It's like you are 99.9% figured this shit out, but yet the program comes in and you put it in there. That's what it is. So there's certain things that if you think you're at a certain level, you should see this program and stay away from it, because you see what it is. So you can't be God and then God gets a download. How are you God when you're getting downloads still? That's not the kind of download you want to get. Because you shouldn't get any downloads from the machine. You should put the machine like Diana Ross. Stop. Hey, pale horse. Yeah, double nickel is, they kept highlighting the word double nickel too. But the shoes is clean. The Tatum shoes is clean. They're clean. I love tennis shoes. It's the only way to walk. Red Wing boots and Jordans. And just comfortable tennis shoes. Can't even wear gaiters. They ain't comfortable. They hurt my feet. When I get married, I'm going to have on some Jordans or LeBron comfortable. So, I'm going to be dancing Soul Train line. Y'all know it. Bravado and Idirocracy, the electrolyte. There it is. Pale Horse. Thank you. Hey, thank you for joining. And so there's been a dumbing down of young people. And even this thing. This is, someone could argue to say, well, you're lowering yourself to becoming this. But there has to be an outlet to try to touch one person. Touch one person. And if one person can say, yeah, this makes sense to me and this helped, that's what it is. And I give freely. I'm pretty easy to ask. There's people call me and say this, that in the house. And, I don't be like, well, I can do that for $15.95. You call me and you get in touch with me. Anyone knows advice, anything. I give my advice freely. So I'm the same guy all the time. Oh yeah. It's and then my elbow is fine. So yeah, I'm this summer is on. Yeah, I developed, I guess, hammer toe. So I've got to wear pads on the top of my feet to kind of, and then get my feet up massaged where they stretch my feet out. And I think it's from when I tried to work, I would wear the wrong shoes, because pickleball is just mostly lateral. It wasn't that, but when I was working, trying to walk. So it was detrimental to me. It was fun, working, but yeah, it came from that. So, but yeah, it's we're gonna start going again. because there's gyms here that's just pickleball gyms now. You know, what's funny is pickleball is a lot like hooping. Like, you know, when you go to the park and hoop and you got nets, pickleball's a lot like that. Some courts is you just get nets and you keep playing, and it's that kind of being able to compete mentality too. Yeah, so that's what I like about it. There's some days I would get 5 miles in playing pickleball. So that's really how I went from, because generally I was a cat that was, shoot, the heaviest I ever weighed was when my daughter was born, when I was 50. When I was 50, I was weighing 280. But I was never, you know, like I had a gut, but it's just the rest of me, I wasn't nowhere else, just I had a gut. Like even when I hooped, I was always a big, thicker guy. That's what football gave me. You know, football gave me a receiver's cut body that, and I still, you know, I could cut. That's what helped my hooping. And I was excellent ball handlers where I could, you know, I could run full speed while I'm dribbling and do a football cut on you. So it's hard to guard. So it's like I wouldn't even have to trick you. I just make a cut and get by you. Because it's the same thing as, you know, you running and, you know, get by a dude. Dude turned his hips. You know, you got him. You know, you hit it here. Like my son say, you hit him with the huh, you know, or you hit him with a huh. But you get him to turn the hips. You know, it's easy to go that way. Or you get a guy on your back and you just turn around, you know, spin off him. Same way when you rush in a bigger defender, he's used to you going so fast and so low by him, where that time that he's doing that, then you just spin inside on him. So it's, you know, so. Pickleball is blowing up. I wouldn't know anything about it, man. Just looking at it online. And if they build a park, just get a ball and get some partners. Get to really start off with 4 people and just go back and forth, learn the rules. That's all. Because, you know, old pimps, as much as I like to hoop, I'm scared to hoop because I can't fall down. I ain't never fell down playing pickleball. If I hoop, there's a chance of me falling down. And if I fall down, well, one, I take my son with me. So if somebody knocked me down, he would probably like jump on him. But the other part is, even though he would jump on him, I would still be harmed by falling down. So I don't want to fall down. Any new ones? Oh yeah, my really thing is, as I was saying, far as how to move energy. Like even if you do have a small singing bowl, cymbal, whistle, whatever you have, when working with a crystal, you have to move energy around you. That's why these kind of things are so good, because you can start really moving the energy around you. That's why copper is good to have around. You got to get something to kind of move. And so I have harmonizers. I kind of got where I'm kind of stuck here, but I have harmonizers. And so I harmonize with Shyrite and I harmonize with Shungite. And then I have a third eye clarifier. And so some will never connect to crystals. What really, if you get a crystal and you just hold it, you'll, if you can connect to the crystal world, you really will get like flashes of light that are different colors. And then when it fully comes in, it is like what these small crystals can give you is just the crystal connection that it is, can't even describe it. Like when the crystal will come in and give you that real crystal connection, there's so I guess the one new crystal, I have a rainbow. I've showed it before. You can go back to some of the old videos. I have a rainbow smoky quartz that is it's more of a scepter because it's bigger on one side and smaller on the other. So I've been working with that downstairs. I tend to work with different crystals if I'm downstairs or upstairs. And so in this room is all the crystals I work with, but I mostly work with harmonizers because, and even two similar crystals. Especially wands, you can just like these are just like jade and rocandonite. Not sure if these are compatible, but you would use like 2 of these and see what kind of message, if no message, or just see if they calm you, make you feel calm or anything. I used to think pickleball was like a handball. Well, what they did is pickleball started going into the elementary schools. And so that's how, like my son is about to be 28. He played in elementary school and he played in high school. But it's a great way to stay active. I played with 80-year-olds. Great way to stay active. Not a really, other than standing, but it's a lot of lateral, a lot of quick hand movement, a lot of thinking strategy, but quick thinking strategy, quick decisions. I mean, sometimes I would be so in tune where I would see the ball coming off the other paddle, and I could just, the ball would look like it was coming to me slow. Because it was like I would see it off of his paddle and they hit, and I could tell it. I would do the perfect defense, and it's like sometimes you can just get so into. And then it's on the reservation. The place I play majority of the time is on the reservation, and there's a lot of energy over there. Anyway, a lot of energy. You know, as I said before, that Paul Bunyan stuff. They've tried to lock something here. There's some kind of giant energy that's here, and this Paul Bunyan stuff is, and it has been a lock of that energy. That's why they emphasize that in these Midwest states. They emphasize the Paul Bunyan in Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota. I don't know if homeboy Nick remembers the. They say that Paul Bunyan was the one that dug out the Great Lakes. So there is some kind of giant energy here that they have tried to suppress, and some kind of way I've been able to tap into that. So that's here, and this is holy land I live on. Where I live is holy land. Again, this is Black Dog's property. He was a Lakota chief. This was his holy areas. Again, the ski mountain is up there, within it's right here. And then where I live is on top of a hill. This whole area is really, if you come from where I used to live in Prior Lake and you start going to Burnsville, you're going from south to east to west. Prior Lake, even, yeah, you're going east to west, and so you'll see where you have to start going up a hill. So I'm really charged living up here. It's a lot of great energy up here, and it's really, I'm able to. And then with Sirius, the other night Venus was in the sky, so I don't know if you guys tapped into Venus and Jupiter energy a couple nights ago. And truth be told, when it's a blizzard, that is just, blizzard can just take you really beyond. You meditate when it's blizzarding outside. There is a lot of storm energy that you can really ride. I mean, it can really bring a lot of new fractals to you. And I guess that's when if you really understand how you start really seeing what this thing is when you close your eyes and you really see what's real. And you can break through and see what's real with your eyes open. But most people have to start with your eyes closed. And then you start seeing what you are part of. The fractals that your ancestors have locked in your DNA that you have to unlock and bring out. That will come to you. That will come to you. So you just have to find the way to open it up and use it. And it's in all of us. And that's why we are each magical people. That's why you have to be mindful of what you say, because you can cast spells on yourself. English is nothing but a type of cast. So you have to be mindful of the cast. You have to counter cast. You have to misdirect the cast. That's why sometimes some of these ideas, you don't even want to have the ideas. And definitely don't want to say it out loud. Because this thing, you can say idea out loud, and damn if this thing won't, it'll just skip. Just like when the telephone, the way this beast did the telephone, the tech guy did the telephone. It was two dudes. It was Bell and a dude, I think, in Paris or Germany. And they were hours apart to get the patent. And Bell beat him into getting the patent. He made it work. Because they had to get the patent, they had to make the damn thing work. And Bell was able to make his work a little sooner than the other guy. So this beast doesn't take any chances. That's why cars, when they gave the idea to cars, doesn't take a chance. It wants these ideas to be all around so it can start. You understand? A lot of videos of giants on top of mountains lately. The powers beast seem to be working the beast overtime. It's turned to CNN with all the some of these people, why even bother watching them? Why get caught into watching what they say? Why are you making them relevant? Why do you care too? A lot of this stuff, like, I don't even get caught into it because it goes back to what Craig Smith said. What does it mean to me? Like, here check this out. They sponsored these people to come all the way from Ukraine. And there was people living in Wisconsin. There's people living here. I know Afghanistan people that was here. I saw Afghanistan families living here.
But yet they tell these homeless people that they can't live in their home. But these people is living in minus shit outside, or living in the car, or living where, you know, they got a little generator and a little space heater, whatever, however they can heat outside in the tent. Because if you can have a space heater or a kerosene heater in a tent, you can live outside and survive. But these people that can travel across the ocean, people care more about. How is that? How is that you don't care about these Americans? And the difference in the homelessness is that in California, the difference in it now than what the hippies did is they're not living in the deserts like they used to. That's what the real Manson was about. They wanted to get rid of those kind of things. They didn't want people living in communes. So now the communes are, you got this free space, we're gonna put our tents up. We're gonna live for free. We're gonna live for being us. We're gonna be outside your rules. But living outside your rules is hell. Because one way that some certain people got to cop or get get along with it is, you getting high. It's like, yeah, I live in this tent, but right now I can shoot this shit in me and I feel good for a little while. I get the beautiful dream. That's what heroin is a beautiful dream drug. This is how the people break through. They got to use that heroin to break through, and they just get the beautiful dream that way. But that's the artificial way to get through it. And you come back, you have to leave that, and when you leave that, because of the way you gained entry into that, it doesn't help you. Because if you have to kind of destroy yourself to see this through this reality, you're kind of destroying yourself because it's poison that's putting you there. You're not finding a natural way to put you there. You're using this harsh thing to put you there, to put you in the dream state. You've seen the pictures of the opium den. Why do you think they just want to lay down and take another hit? That was the idea. Just lay down, and just get high for a couple of days. I ain't gonna eat and shit, and you just keep feeding me that pipe. And people would really get deep out there. But it was like the Star Trek movie. The Star Trek movie where the people could generate realities. And when Star Trek finally figured the shit out, all the people would sleep on the planet. When they finally went on the planet, everybody would sleep, and it was just pushing out a dream world. That's what they tried to do to Chinese. They just wanted the Chinese to live in the dream world. Y'all ain't got to do shit. Just get high all day. That's what they wanted them to do. And that's kind of the escape. So be safe, people. That's you. Be safe. Like Burning Man set up in the desert, kind of sort of. There's a different kind of thing behind that thing too. But yeah, people used to get away. People used to get away and grow their own natural foods, educate their children. And so this was attacked. And so homelessness, like, remember, the depression is the thing that started homelessness in the first place. Because up to that point, if you study history, well, 400 years of poor white trash or 400 years of class distinction, there just wasn't this homelessness. There were lazy people that like that. The American Indians were attacked with alcohol, and so this made them, pretty much not do shit. Give up all this land, keep the people drunk. And there's drugs that the way time is moved too. That's why cocaine had its run, because of the way time was. Time was slightly sped up, so the cocaine was slightly sped up. Now time seems to be a slower pace, so they pushing these slower pace drugs. Catch all those 30, attack the bribe, break a Kareem. No ways behind these numbers. Well, and think about it like this: LeBron got 6,000 points for three pointers. He got 6,000 points for 3 points. Where Kareem was the only time Kareem could get 3 points if he got fouled. So that's an advantage. But they both play in the manipulated system. So it's sad seeing Kareem, a man that his pridefulness
and not really kissing the reporter's ass. They blackballed him for coaching, and look at him now. If you get, one thing I didn't, if you guys caught the Bill Russell thing, I didn't realize that they had sold all Bill Russell's, monuments, but they sold them after he died, so it's probably a family money grab. Oh, but one part of the Bill Russell documentary on Netflix shows where one of my ancestors' names is. Thomas P. Ampey is on the Curtis Shaw Memorial, and they did some kind of protest in Boston, and that's where they took the picture. I think somebody threw some paint on it or some shit. If you guys want to look that up. But it was kind of cool, that little part of history. But it is sad seeing Kareem compared to, like, Bill Russell never looked as sad as Kareem looks now. Like, even Bill Russell, when they popped the wig on his head, the gray wig on his head, and using his energy, what's left of him, he didn't look as sad as Kareem looked. Oh, and did you guys see Jim Brown? Oh, on that, oh my goodness, when they had showed Jim Brown has to be 85, 86 at least. Wow. And it's funny about getting old when you start seeing generations disappear. And it started with my great grandparents, because I really didn't know I did know my father's grandmother, but not his grandfather. He died before I was born, but my mother's grandparents were still alive. And I watched that generation disappear. And it's slow. It's a slow thing. Then my grandmother's generation disappeared. Cousins, uncles. And now my mother, of a family of four, she's the only one left. She's the oldest one in this family, in this line that goes back to 16. Well, Nama Fouchette died in 1619. She's the oldest one from that line. And so I've watched her generation disappear. And I've seen slowly my generation. I have some cousins in their 30s pass. My nephew passed. And that's part of life too. And that's the thing, don't be scared of. How long have I been going? Oh, I'm not going to go too much longer. Tell you what, though, guys, the room is really changing. I'm about to change up stuff. So getting all the equipment put together, getting everything up. So working on it. Got some interesting people that I think you guys will find interesting. I'll say there's somebody asking me about any stone you work with. This is a good book about Motivite. And why you want Motivite is, number one, it's going to help it reconnects neurons. It is one of the few things that is going to help your mental. Gold is going to help your mental too. And the two together really are going to help your mental. This is probably the godfather of Motivite in America. But it gives you some understanding of this. Like we were saying, one thing that fear brings about is change. And Brother Quantum, Brother Matt, he probably got a point of change could be the beast. Because change is not always negative. But what we fear the most is change. Because they're telling you, like when the fear program telling you that you'll get sick and it's going to change and you're going to get worse and worse. But I say this with Motivite because this is the stone of change. And so this is something that works for it. Want to harp on something I harped on before. So the way I grew up with a lot of local heroes. I grew up with the NBA not being the only good sport to go watch. I mean, I don't know if you guys ever heard of Eddie and the King in his court, Eddie something. This guy could pitch this guy could pitch a softball. He could under pitch a softball 100 and some miles an hour. He played with a team of just 5 people.
He toured around the United States, rarely losing. So sport at one time wasn't necessarily TV driven. Now look at what they're doing to you now. USFL is going to go, then the the XFL is going now. The USFXL is going to come on in March, and then it's going to push you into the next football season. But what we need to go back into is, like we were saying with pickleball, we need to get people to understand that, like what I've said about the parents tonight. We need to get back into people appreciating and admiring people they know, local people, and not just looking at these people that's popular on these things. People really need to connect with people they know, and then start making these relationships, because that's where the magic happens. The stronger relationship you have with people, the stronger your magic becomes. The magic is not one thing that the beast has is it's a patient beast. This beast will wait, and that's how we have to be. So I say that because even like you could wear this and it will take a while for it to work for you if you can even wear it. And that's how magic is. Magic is you have to be patient and you have to be consistent. Like, when you look at my old videos, when I do the whole thing with all my singing bowls and all these, I do this by myself. The directions and everything, I do this by myself. I don't just do this to put on a show. This is things that when I'm by myself, I do. I think that's the furnace kicked on. It's been so damn windy, I can't tell if it's the furnace or damn wind. Watered down. They played harder in all-star game than the regular season. Well, they needed the money too. I mean, local heroes. Not somebody that's just going to come in and buy turkeys for Christmas or drop some tennis shoes off. And an appreciation of hardworking men. I mean, now the lie of trying to and we should be able to sue the government because the lie that they told in the 80s and 90s and up to now, the lie of college and taking away all the tech jobs in high school where people could go into careers right out of high school. And then these factories colluded, or not these factories, these businesses, these corporations colluded. And now you've seen all these businesses saying, well, we got to take these educational requirements out if people have the experience. That was an attack against us. That was a whole charade of college to get you in debt. When all you really have to have a skill. Like I talk about my stepfather. My stepfather was an industrial engineer. He didn't have any college. General Motors made him an engineer. He got a free car every year. I know I talk about this all the time. That was one of his perks. Any job you go in, they got to show you how to do it. Some people can catch on, some people can't. I mean, look at the movie Catch Me If You Can. He could go into any job and pick it up. Not saying the motherfucker had the hands to be a surgeon, but he could pick up. But that's what any job is. They have to show you how they do it. And some people can do it just like that. Some people it takes a little longer. But I mean, hats off to what Brother Nick did, offered. And whoever came, he gave freely and taught a person. Didn't matter who it was. Somebody came and wanted the information. Brother Nick gave it to him. And that's what it is. It's like if you offer, you have a skill, whatever you offer, and it's just one person show up, hey, give it to that one person. If a bunch of people is interested, you can give it to them. And you really can sit there and say, you gave it out. It's on you if you want to, make yourself vulnerable to that. Because that you're vulnerable. Because you feel down. You're like, shit, I got this to give and nobody wants to receive it. That's a hard thing. And it does make you not want to help. And to get bread, you ain't got to sell yourself. You ain't got to kiss nobody's ass to get bread. You can come sit with motherfucker,
The fairs have helicopters. You can get in. You can pay $5 and go to a fair and ride up and down in the helicopter. Motherfuckers have simple victories. Well, but yeah, thanks for watching. Definitely things are progressing. So please bear with me. Things are definitely progressing. We're waiting for another table to come in, but the equipment, I basically have the equipment, so I'm just gotta move around stuff still to make it happen. So thank you. And I have some interesting people that have something to say, so that's kind of cool too. The Waking one, she's forever like, hey, I got some stuff. And so, Brother Edward, whenever, I know you, oh, okay, I'm messing them up. I like giving these nature cards out. So, yeah, the animal spirit card is rabbit. This is a good one. If somebody might want to, this is exactly what I was talking about. And I randomly picked this one, so I didn't have an agenda. But this goes into fear. A long time ago, no one really knows how long ago, Rabbit was a brave and fearless warrior. Rabbit was befriended by Eyewalker, a witch. The witch and Rabbit spent time together, sharing and talking. The two were very close. One day, Eyewalker and Rabbit were walking along and they sat down on the trail to rest. Rabbit said, I'm thirsty. Eyewalker picked up a leaf and blew on it and handed Rabbit a gourd of water. Rabbit drank the water but didn't say anything. Then Rabbit said, I am hungry. Eyewalker picked up a stone and blew on it and changed it to a turnip. She gave the turnip to Rabbit to eat. Rabbit tasted it, then ate the turnip with relish. But still, Rabbit didn't say anything. The two continued along the trail, which led into the mountains. Near the top, Rabbit tripped and fell and rolled almost to the bottom. Rabbit was in a very sad condition when Eyewalker got to him. She used the magic salve on Rabbit to heal his great pain and mended his broken bones. Rabbit didn't say anything. Several days later, Eyewalker went searching for her friend. She sighted high and low, but Rabbit was nowhere to be found. Finally, Rabbit gave up. She met Rabbit quite by accident. Eyewalker gave up, excuse me. Rabbit, why are you hiding and avoiding me? The witch asked. Because I am afraid of you. I am afraid of magic, answered Rabbit, cowering. Leave me alone. I see, said Eyewalker. I have used my magical powers on your behalf. I have used my magical powers on your behalf. And now you turn on me and refuse my friendship? I want nothing more to do with you or your powers, Rabbit countered. Rabbit did not even see the tears in his words were bringing to Eyewalker's eyes. I hope we meet. I hope that we never meet and that I never see you again, said Rabbit. Rabbit, Eyewalker said, we were once great friends and companions, but no more. It is within my power to destroy you, but because of the past and medicines we have shared together, I will not do this. From this day forward, I lay a curse on you and your tribe. From now on, you will call your fears, and your fears will come to you. From now on, you will call your fears, and your fears will come to you. Be on your way, for the sweet medicines that bound us together as friends are broken. Now Rabbit is the fear caller. He goes out and shouts, Eagle, I am afraid of you. If Eagle doesn't hear him, Rabbit calls louder, Eagle, stay away from me. Eagle, now hearing Rabbit, comes and eats him. Rabbit calls bobcat, wolves, coyotes, and even snakes until they come. As this story shows, Rabbit's medicines people are afraid of tragedy, illness, disaster, and being taken. That they call those fears to them to teach them lessons. The keynote here is, what you resist will persist. What you fear most is what will become. Here's the lesson. If you pulled the rabbit, stop talking about horrible things happening and get rid of what if in your vocabulary. The card may signal a time of worry about the future or trying to exercise your control over that which is not yet informed, the future. Stop now. Write your fears down. Be willing to feel them. Breathe into them. Feel them running through your body and to Mother Earth as a giveaway. So I give freely.
thank you for coming to see me. And yeah, I'll be putting out more content as I get it together. Because I'm planning a lot. I mean, it's like we're doing a whole bunch. So get married in September. So we're planning that. We got to get all this. So it's a lot. So thank you for rocking with me. I appreciate it. And till we meet again, say less.